Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about an idea that came into my mind sporadically. It's clearly something that we haven't actually been talking about wherever we look, because the popular topics have been booster boxes and probably Pokemon Center ETBs. So yesterday I received a package in the mail, and it was two ETB acrylic cases, which, if you've noticed, I have back here, somewhere around here, I have two Pokemon Center ETBs. They're both Destined Rival ETBs, and I didn't have them encased. And so I got the two cases, I put the ETBs in, and as I'm putting it in, my fiance realizes what I got in the mail. And I said, all right, great. I just need two more, and I can put my two black and white and black bull, black bull and white flare ETBs in their own cases when I get those two. And there was a Destined Rivals like regular ETB there, and I was like, but I probably won't encase the regular Destined Rivals ETB. And as a joke, I said, but it may actually be valuable one day. Who knows? And she looked at me with a serious face, and she was like, it actually might be. And then that's when it hit me. What's stopping these so-called ancillary products from being valuable in the long term? Of course, in the short term, the first things that are going to blow up are the booster boxes and the Pokemon Center ETBs. But what's really stopping a regular ETB from being valuable in the long term? Right? Look, I got this Lost Origin, right, ETB for $70 sometime in, I think, December or January, and I didn't expect it to increase in price. I just wanted it. I liked it. I wanted to have one. I actually ended up getting two, but I wanted to have at least one just to have there and have it as a sealed display. And I thought it was nice, right? Because as the further along we move, the more these things just become part of history, right? At some point they just don't get printed anymore. That ETB will never get made again. Yeah, of course they're out there. People are selling them. Some people are holding them, but it'll never get made again. It just goes further and further back into history, and that's just it. Sometimes you just want a piece of history, and so you buy it, which is what I did. But I didn't expect it to go up in value the way that it has. Of course the PC ETB is worth more, but this ETB has like doubled in value since the time I bought it. I got it for $70, and I think it's worth almost $140 at the moment. Right? So, of course, this Destined Rivals ETB that I clearly did not encase, even though it's well inflated right now, but being that I got it at MSRP, I'm pretty much fine with it. It'll probably be worth a good amount in the future. I mean, at least in the long term, right? So that's what I wanted to talk about here. So let's just take a look at what we've got, right? So another thing as well, going forward, we're clearly talking about the best sets in the era, right? Because of course, especially with an ancillary product like an ETB that's not that doesn't have the spotlight shining on it like a booster box or a Pokemon Center ETB, you definitely want to choose only the best sets, and we have history and the data along that history to prove that. And of course, guys, before we move forward, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Of course, all your comments, your likes, they help the channel. Once again, I love talking to you guys. And we are so close to 500 subscribers. My last video gave me an amazing jump. I'm like 5 subscribers away. Thank you guys for subscribing. And so yeah, let's move forward. So like I was saying, of course, we're looking at the best sets, right? We're going to look at the Scarlet and Violet, and then we're going to look at what's happened with the ETBs in Sword and Shield, and a little further back in Sun and Moon. So we have here the Destined Rivals ETB. Once again, it's a very new set. It's, of course, inflated. We're really thinking about MSRP, right? If you can get these at MSRP and hold them long term, I think it would be great. Of course, right now, they're each worth $100, which is a lot for a very new set. But what stops this ETB from being valuable in the future, right? The next one I would recommend is Surging Sparks. Surging Sparks, I would say it's a great buying opportunity for the long term. And when I say long term, I'm really talking about 6 years, 7 years. If you're someone that can do that, like myself, I don't mind. Like I love having the seal display behind me. I love looking at it. Like I actually stare at it. I admire it. If you're that kind of person, then this is for you. Surging Sparks seems to be a great thing that you can buy right now. Of course, I always say Surging Sparks is within the top 3 or top 4 sets in the era. I'm always like back and forth because there are 4 really strong sets that I believe are going to do the best long term, and I think it's pretty obvious, right? So this Surging Sparks has a great buying point right now, I would say, especially if you were lucky with those Costco bundles. Next will be Twilight Masquerade, which got a really recent reprint, which is amazing. It's dropped down to $73, right? We're including the shipping. This is the lowest listed. This is what people want to sell it at. I'm not worried about this market price at the moment. It has taken a huge dip, so the sales, the listings are going to be lower than the market price, right? So another set, right? So the ones I bring up are always Destined, Surging Sparks, Twilight Masquerade, and last but not least, Paldea Evolved. Of course, Paldea Evolved, we probably won't see these ETBs printed. I'm saying probably. We don't know what Pokemon's going to do. It's very possible Pokemon says, hey, these are about to go out of rotation. Let's send out some ETBs, right? Who knows? We don't know what they have planned, right? But at the moment, if you were able to buy some of these at MSRP, or if you've gotten a good deal for them, I think long term, this could be a very valuable product, right? So these 4 sets in the Scarlet and Violet era that are the most affordable, I would say, I think, can do very well long term, even though they are ancillary products, at least considered that, because they're not the Pokemon Center ETBs, right? So of course, those are the top 4 sets in the era. Now, if we jump back to Sword and Shield, right? First box we clearly think about, of course, is Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies regular ETBs are jumping up toward that $400 mark. Market price says $354. Most recently sold at $370. Lowest listed is $378. Amazing. Of course, the best set in that era. And for us, I guess right now in the Scarlet and Violet era would be Destined Rivals. What's stopping Destined Rivals from being this price right here, right? We have that version, and we have the other version that's relatively close at $366 lowest listed. Market price is right at the same spot at basically $355. But yeah, guys, what's stopping it from being that, right? So if we look further back, I mean, not further back, some of the other boxes, we have Fusion Strike ETB, right? Sitting at 100 and what is that? $190 lowest listed, regular ETB, 190, guys. So what I mean, like, we're talking about a lot of growth here. Of course, we are in a hype period right now, but it's still a lot of growth. We are going to hit hype periods. The market takes dips, it rises back up, and it dips again. This just happens throughout all of anything you can buy, just all investables. And right now we're at a high, of course, for the Fusion Strike ETB. But what's stopping some of these sets from reaching this price point in the long term? Why not? Why can't this happen, right? Even some of the other ancillary products, 3-pack blisters, a Fusion Strike 3-pack blister is $80, right? If you look for a, I believe, Evolving Skies 3-pack blister, it's like $120. What's stopping any of these sets from giving you that kind of value long term? This kind of value long term is very possible. It is very possible. Of course, it may not reach. This is the risk you take with anything you buy and you hold long term. But I think that we're pretty good. I mean, I think we'll do pretty good on this. I just really do think so. Next, I was looking at Lost Origin that I was just showing you guys. Look, $135 lowest listed. 135. Market is 126. Most recently sold 129, but it's just going up from here. Especially with the booster box creeping up, the Pokemon Center ETB, these are just gonna follow, right? $135 lowest listed. Once again, I bought it at $70. I saw at some point last year, I think they were worth like $40. At some point last year, you could have bought these ETB at $40, maybe even less than that. So I think that we take a little bit of a few of these things for granted, and then some people think to themselves later on, you know, it's a year later, and they're like, wow, I really missed out on that. Well, right now, you don't have to, right? You can still buy a lot of these things at MSRP. Also, Lost Origin 3-pack blisters, $57. $57 for 3 packs. I think that's amazing gains right there. Forget about how long it takes. If you ever try to invest into anything else, whether it's in the stock market or any kind of fund, it takes years for you to get these kind of numbers. Like years, like a lot longer than what we're seeing in Pokemon. So, and with that being said, let's move on to Sun and Moon, right? Now I was saying 6 to 7 years hold, right? Cosmic Eclipse, released in 2019. 2019, guys, 6 years ago. An ETB is lowest listed is 1800. Of course, scarcity is the biggest thing in this market. Sometimes it's of course rarity just pushes everything. Of course, it's a beautiful ETB. The set's amazing, but as a lot of people have been said, a lot of these sets were looked down on. People didn't like them, and years later, things change, right? Market for this is 747, but of course, scarcity, you're at the whim of the seller, and lowest list is $1,800. Now, of course, it is much harder for you to make sales on things that reach this price point, but eventually it'll sell. I believe that it'll sell at some point, and you really don't hurt yourself holding something that you've bought at MSRP for a few years. I don't see it hurting me in any kind of way, or anyone else. I don't think that anything that gains scarcity is going to lose value, especially buying at MSRP. Now, next is Unified Minds. Lowest listed, $1,000. We're gonna even forget that $5 shipping. $1,000, market price of $855. Beautiful box, nice set. You know, these are looked upon now as like a blessing if you could get your hands on anything, whether it's a singles, sealed product, anything. Just the opportunity to rip anything, especially, would be insane. Next, unbroken bonds at $1,500. Market is $973, but once again, with scarcity, lowest listed is $1,500. And then team up, insane ETB, lowest listed at $3,000. Market is $2,256. Most recently sold at $3,000. So it sells. This came as recent as a few days ago, right, guys? Yeah. What's stopping Destined Rivals from being at that price point later on in the future? Am I saying that it's going to be $3,000 7 years from now? No. But what I am saying is that it won't be 100. I'm definitely telling you that it's not going to be $100 unless it's one of the worst sets, which we can actually look. I didn't pull those up, but there are some really bad sets, and if you look at the cards within the sets, you understand why. There are some ETBs from Sun and Moon that are worth $120, but they are literally ridiculous, horrendous sets. We're talking about the top 4 best sets in the Scarlet and Violet era, with amazing cards in each one of these sets. This is like a for sure, almost like fail-proof idea, I think. Of course, nothing is actually fail-proof, but I see very, very low risk with this. I have no problem just getting a few ETBs, putting them away. I'm not saying buy cases. If you want to buy cases, you have that kind of space, you have that kind of money, you can do whatever you want. What I'm saying is get a few. What is it going to hurt? I've never been the person that said, oh, that's a booster box. It looks good to you. You think you're going to do long term? You have to buy a case. You have to buy a case. No, that's never been me. You could just buy one box. Buy one box of each. Buy 2 boxes of each if you can afford it. And just put them away and forget it. Right? There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You know, you live within your means. You don't put yourself in a position where you'd regret buying anything. But so with that being said, I don't see why you couldn't buy just a few ETBs and let them sit there. Ignore them completely, you know, and see what they do in 7 years. Is it really going to hurt? I don't think so. But we buy these ETBs at we buy these ETB at MSRP already just to rip. And most of the time you're at the losing end of things when you don't pull anything. I remember ripping a Paldea Evolved ETB not too long ago. Literally got nothing but a few EXs. That's it. No IRs, nothing else, and that's just what it happens sometimes. That's what happens. It is what it is. But I think that in the long term, I think we would not regret holding a few ETBs of Destined, Surging Sparks, Twilight Masquerade, and Paldea Evolved. So yeah, guys, with that being said, I hope you found some value in this video. Also, of course, those Sword and Shield ETBs, there's some pretty affordable ones there. Don't ignore those. But yeah, guys, with that being said, I hope you found value in this video. Don't forget, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there. Peace.